Hey, New York, we'll see you at the parade. Yeah! Yes, we will.
Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by DKI Canada. Across the street, across the country. He was a prolific scoring threat in junior, one tough dude in the NHL. Now he's one of the most entertaining and knowledgeable analysts in the business. Nick Kypreos, Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Today's guest hails from Toronto. He was a 6-foot, 211-pound left winger. He was an elite forward for the North Bay Centennials, where he had 62 goals in the 85-86 OHL season. He signed as a free agent with Philadelphia, played 442 NHL games in 8 seasons with Washington, Hartford, the Rangers, and Toronto. He won the Stanley Cup with the Rangers in 1994. He's an analyst for Sportsnet, Hockey Night in Canada, co-host of Real Kyper and Bourne on Fan 590, and author of Nick Kypreos, Undrafted, Hockey, Family, and What It Takes to Be a Pro. Welcome to the program, Kyper. Good to have you here.
Joe, what's going on, man? You're bringing back great memories of me as a Toronto kid, watching you, telling us, coming up.
Coming up. Yeah, I know. I've been around a little while, Nick. 84, so you were still in probably high school when I was doing my thing. Yeah. So tell us about growing up in Toronto. And I know you're really attached to the Greek community and what it was like for you guys. You're holding that Greek heritage proudly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. First of all, as the son of Greek immigrants, parents, the opportunity to come into Canada in their 50s and create a life, and then having a Canadian-born son walk into a hockey environment from my earliest memories. Just a wonderful childhood, wonderful opportunities that my parents gave me that they dreamt one day, probably growing up in Greece, to have opportunities beyond what they probably saw from their parents. And I was a beneficiary of lots of love and support and an opportunity and an introduction to the great game of hockey. And I noted it a lot in my book. Thank you for mentioning I wrote it during the pandemic, which gave me a great chance to kind of reflect on my life and growing up in a Greek environment, but spending every day trying to find out what made the Canadian culture so special. And of course, it began and ended with the great game of hockey. So I'm still living off of it, Joe, which I'm grateful for at my age, and waking up every day with a smile on my face.
Yeah, who would have dreamed this? I'm sure your family turned on to hockey early, as most you new Canadians are, and to watch you to grow into the game, it must be really exciting for them.
No question. I'm so grateful. I still have my parents around, and they're doing well. And my dad's going to be turning 93 soon, and we still speak of the wonderful experiences from tying skates for the first time at Woodbine Arena, which they call Oriole Community Center now, at Don Mills and between Shepherd and Finch, and Woodbine Arena, Mandarin Gardens. I still have my first jersey, not too far from here, from that, and it's as if it happened yesterday, not 50 years ago.
So tell us about your journey to major hockey, major junior. I know that you were a prolific goal scorer in your younger days. For example, the 85-86 season in North Bay, 62 goals in 64 games. You're second in the OHL in scoring. And my question, I guess, right now is, how did you not get drafted?
Yeah. Well, that was my third year in junior, and my eligibility had started just a couple of years prior to that, and I didn't get drafted. And what had happened after I didn't get drafted, my first year of eligibility, I got invited to a training camp, which we call today PTOs. And I was able to parlay that into a signed contract, which made me ineligible for the draft after that. And it was an amazing experience going to a pro camp for the first time. My childhood hero at the time was Daryl Sittler, who was still a Philadelphia Flyer at the time. I remember going to training camp and meeting him, and I was tongue-tied. I couldn't barely string a sentence together, because this is the guy that I thought walked on water as the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, setting 10-point game records and scoring game-winning goals for Team Canada, and and that was my first introduction to the NHL world. It was one that I still couldn't separate myself from being a fan to now competing against my idols. It took a while to get there. Some guys can do it at 18 or 19, but there's special players that end up most often than not in the Hall of Fame. And then there's guys like me who have to take their time and truly believe that you no longer have to ask them for your autograph, but you can be one of them now. That took a little bit of time to absorb and mature. But I eventually got there at age 22, 23. So I was able to kind of parlay that in the next 8-9 years.
Well, I think that's more the norm than the superstars who get into the league at 18, 19 years old. The more, the more normal way to root is kind of the way you took. And when you think about all the guys who come and go in the NHL, I mean, the fact that you had the kind of career you did was pretty phenomenal, and we'll get more into the Stanley Cup stuff. But I know you signed as a free agent with the Flyers, and meeting Sittler was pretty cool. What about how'd you end up with the Capitals organization? What happened in Philly? Did you get a fair shake there?
Yeah, I think I did. And I think there was a small window where the waiver wire came along, and it was debatable whether or not the Flyers thought they needed to protect me or not. David Poyle at the time, general manager, along with the late Jack Button, were able to pick me up on the waiver wire. I had a really good camp. I played hard against the Washington Capitals a couple times in exhibition games, and they claimed me. And at the time, Bobby Clark, I think, wasn't sure whether or not I was eligible or not, based on a small little 10-game segment I had with the Hershey Bears. Oh, okay. Well, it may have been the technicality. I ended up playing 10 games for the Hershey Bears, which counted for one pro year to be knocked off my eligibility. And at the time, I then went back to North Bay, and, whether or not Bobby Clark knew it or not, I to this day, I truly don't know the answer to that. But regardless, I knew for sure once Washington claimed me, they were going to keep me, and I was going to start my NHL career with the likes of Dale Hunter and ex-teammate of mine in North Bay, Kevin Hatcher, Rod Langway, the great Rod Langway. And what a wonderful organization to break into as well. I really wanted to be a Flyer that year, but even though it didn't happen, my dream still came true as I opened up the season days later with the Washington Capitals.
Well, pretty good start to your pro career in Hershey. 24 goals in 71 games. You won your first championship, of course, with the Bears, the 87-88 Calder Cup. Tell us about that season and that team. Yeah.
Well, Hershey has such a rich tradition, Joe, in terms of the American Hockey League. To me, it's the New York Yankees of Major League Baseball, or Montreal or Toronto, or what any original 16 means to the NHL. Hershey was just a fantastic experience. Saturday night sold out, 10,000 people at the old Hershey Park Arena. We had a veteran team at the time. We had guys that had NHL experience, whether it was Kevin McCarthy, Al Hill, Don Knockbauer. We had a veteran team that won the Calder Cup, and I was one of the young players there, along with Gord Murphy, Jeff Chikrin. Glenn Seabrook was a highly touted winger out of Peterborough, and we were able to win a championship at such a young age. And it goes a long way, Joe. Winning at any level changes the way you think, feel, and are able to kind of think championship kind of mode moving forward. So it had a big influence on my life. Prior to that, I never really won a championship before, not at junior level, not at minor hockey level. So winning at such an early age really helped me kind of frame my mind moving forward. And of course, I was able to win another championship with the New York Rangers, and to have 2 championships in a professional environment. I still get the hair standing up on the back of my neck on that one. So a wonderful experience at Hershey that really catapulted the next level.
Yeah, a lot of players never get close, let alone getting that. So that's pretty cool. And so, the championship, of course, you win the one, you want more, but you make the big club finally with Washington. And once you made it to the show, you established yourself as a guy who could take care of himself. Did you feel that was your ticket to staying in the league?
Well, listen, I mean, Joe, at the end of the day, you're right. It was my ticket. And although I scored big in junior hockey, it didn't come naturally at the NHL level. And I just saw a lot of guys leave junior hockey as big scorers and then just their careers die on the vine once they get to the NHL. And I just did not want that to happen. So at the time in Washington, Brian Murray, the late Brian Murray, told me that, if you can't score, you're going to have to find other ways to contribute. And I knew I could handle myself. I knew I was big and strong enough that I could, take on a few people and create good energy. At the time, Washington had a horrible reputation for being at the bottom end of the Philadelphia Flyers and a few other tough teams in the Patrick division at the time. And along with myself, there was Alan May, Neil Sheehy, and we just needed to show some of the skilled players like Dino Ciccarelli at the time, Mike Ridley, Kelly Miller, that go out and do your thing and we'll back you up physically. And that really kind of set me up at the NHL level, and I was prepared to do that. But what I wasn't prepared is to say I'm only a goal scorer and that's it. And if you don't want me as a goal scorer, I'm happy to leave. That was not my mindset at all. My mindset was I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay in the NHL.
Yeah, and you helped give the Capitals a different look. But you talked about fighting, and you fought everybody and anybody. Who was the most fearsome foe you had?
Without a doubt, the late Chris Simon comes to mind. He was just mean and vicious and incredibly tough. I ended up fighting him at Madison Square Garden at the time. He was really giving it to me. And I just had 2 choices, either keep taking it or stand up to this guy. And we had a pretty good tilt at Madison Square Garden to the point where he gave me a little bit of a tap after the fight and a wink in the eye. And, after that, he never bothered me again. So I earned a lot of respect from Chris Simon, who at the time I considered the heavyweight champion. There was Probert, of course, and a lot of guys that were just underneath Probert. But at the time, Chris Simon in the mid-'90s, as tough as anyone I've ever come across my whole life.
No doubt about that. But you also showed you had a little bit of skill. We have a goal here by you against the Capitals right here. Leads to a turnover, leads to a breakaway. Here you go, coming in on net. Looked like a goal scorer's goal to me. Do you remember this one?
Oh, listen, I think it's my only clear-cut breakaway my whole career from center ice in, and there was just not a chance I was passing it back.
That's some great footage. Seriously, it was a nice move. Yeah.
Thanks.
Was
a few of those over my.
Yeah.
A few of those in junior, not that many in the NHL, but you take what you can get. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, you showed some good wheels on the play, no doubt there. And you
appreciate it.
So you ended up in Hartford after Washington, and where you had your best offensive season, 17 goals. That's a pretty good year. Did you enjoy your time in Hartford?
Yeah, I sure did. Obviously, there's no team in Hartford anymore, and they went through this transition where it was really a sound organization with the likes of Ronnie Francis there and Ulf Samuelsson, Mike Liu, Dave Tippett, Joel Quenneville. They really nice base there, and for whatever reason, the year I got there, they were having trouble with the crowds. Brian Burke came in there, but I think if Brian Burke was able to have stayed there long term without getting into these situations with the team owner, I think there was a chance that, Hartford would have stayed around a lot longer. But as far as my opportunity there on a weaker team that wasn't that deep, I was able to kind of solidify myself as a third line checker. I managed to score 17 goals that year. I killed some penalties. Paul Holmgren was the coach at the time that had a lot of faith in me. So that was a really rewarding season for me. I ended up, I think, third or fourth in penalty minutes that year. Only, I think, Marty McSorley and Ty Domi and Warren Reichel, if I'm not mistaken, were ahead of me. So scoring 17 goals and having 325 penalty minutes was an interesting year. That's for sure.
That's a valuable player. I mean, you talk about today's.
Joe, how much am I making today with 17 goals and 325 penalty minutes?
Oh, astronomical money. Yeah, you're
five large.
Yeah, five large instead of 500. But I'd say back then it's still good money, right? So
not bad.
Yeah.
More than
bad.
More than what I ever thought I was going to make.
Yeah, it worked out okay. And of course, then they end up with the Rangers, and what an opportunity that was. I mean, you get a chance to be on a team that's loaded for bear, ready to win a championship, and having won that one championship in the minors, you knew what that was going to be like. But on the way to the Stanley Cup, you guys had that phenomenal series with the Devils. Now we got a clip here of you between periods, and it was a game before the overtime, and you made your own analysis, giving us an idea what you might be doing down the road. But let's roll that clip, Nick.
We all feel like this organization, nothing's really gone easy for it. And hey, if we got to do it the hard way, then we're going to do it the hard way. And we've dominated this hockey game, and all it's going to take is one more bounce, and then we'll move on to the next step. But we're as confident as ever.
It's an incredible situation playing in New York. The newspapers all the time, there's so much hype, all about 1940 and 54 years, and the Stanley Cup hasn't been there. What's that been on you as a player?
Well, it's phenomenal, but what you got to do is you really got to focus on what you want to do and sort of block out everything else. The media is incredibly powerful here, and you got to tend not to look at the newspapers or the headlines the next day and just go about your business. And then when it's all said and done, then you can look back and see what kind of pressure that you were under and how you handled it and how you came out of it.
Okay, so that was, as mentioned, heading into overtime. Was it pressure or was it excitement?
Both, for sure.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
And there was an organization that missed the playoffs the year before that had to let go of Roger Nielsen and bring in Iron Mike. So there's no question that everything was geared towards Stanley Cup or bust. And when you had 54 years hanging over your head, it certainly added to the pressure. But we had Mark Messier there. We had Kevin Lowe there. We had guys that have done it in Edmonton. And it was really the recipe was the same. Just focus, stay within yourselves, leave the outside noise exactly where it is on the outside, and find ways to win and enjoy it. The one thing about Mark Messier, Joe, I will always tell you is that I even when, we had stints of a bad week, man, that guy came to the rink every day loving every second of it, because he knew you were only a shift away or a smile away from putting your troubles behind you. And that's the attitude that, I think I tried to, articulate in that interview that we just saw over 30 years ago, is that it's still a great day to come to the rink no matter what the circumstances are. And you're just moments away, or a shift away, or a game away from turning everything right around. And we were able to do that on a number of occasions during that season and put an end to 54-year drought.
That was so much fun. I mean, it's funny because after that, part of that interview, you picked your roommate as a ticket to score the winner, and it turned out to be Stefan Matteau. Did anybody see that one coming?
Eddie Olchuk, I think, saw that coming. I think the last thing he did was kiss Stefan Matteau's stick outside the dressing room before he stepped on the ice. But, you talk about, fork in the road moments for all of us, and how it could go either way. I'll never forget, Joe, just moments after the clock went down to zeros, looking across the ice and seeing Trevor Linden, and his hands are just covered his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Sheer dejection, and just for a split second, thinking to myself, thank God I'm not feeling that right now, because, while I think Sam Rosen uttered the great words that this one will last a lifetime, unfortunately for Vancouver Canuck fans and Trevor Linden, that also can live a lifetime too of that feeling of just coming up short. And I don't take for 1 second where that fine line is between what Trevor Linden felt at that second and where I felt at that second.
Yeah, the Canucks mounted a great comeback in that series, and it was pretty, it was scary for you guys for sure.
Oh, we were up 3-1. Joe, we were up 3-1. Everybody had planned the parade after Game 5, and they came back and won the next 2 games. People in New York were really scared to the point where the street value of the prices of tickets were more valuable in Game 5 than they were in Game 7, because the market shrunk up with the people not wanting to pay to go watch the team lose. It was kind of a bit of an eerie feeling for us going back to New York and feeling like, did we just blow a 3-1 series lead?
Yeah, it was similar with the Oilers and Panthers, a couple of years ago, and that same kind of thing, right? But okay, so obviously Keenan wants to shake things up a little bit. He puts you back in the lineup for Game 7. What do you remember most about that night?
Just, feeling really confident, and I'm not a cocky guy, at least, I don't know, depends who you ask, I guess. I don't know, but I never felt like I was cocky or to the point I was arrogant, but I was extremely confident that, that I'm going back into a Game 7, and it's going to create enough energy for me anyways to feel better about our chances to win, because it's like that old saying, like, you're calmer on the ice because you feel like you can contribute or at least factor in some way, opposed to having no control at all, sitting in the stands. But I really felt good about our chances. I really felt good about going home. We had a comfort zone there at Madison Square Garden. We had an extra day off, which I think helped saved us as well. There was 2 days off between Game 6 and Game 7. I just felt like it was just the right time for all of us to come together to win one more game. So I had a good feeling all day, and it spoke to me to the point where, you know, when those final seconds went down, I knew it was gonna change the way we felt about our lives from here on end, and so grateful for it.
Yeah, having Messi on the team really was the X factor too, right? And you finally get a chance to lift the Stanley Cup. You know, what was that like? Tell us about that. Yeah, but tell us about Messi.
Well, just as far as Mark, you know, one of the most special people I've ever come across my whole life, whether it's involved in hockey or not in hockey, and just the way he carries himself. Everything's methodical with him. Everything has a purpose and a reason. He'll treat Brian Leach, who was our second best player on the team, you know, to the fourth liners, to the stick boys, to the trainers, to Tommy, who did the laundry in our dressing room. Everybody's part of the link. Everybody's part of the chain. And you can't win without everyone contributing. At the end of the day, these star players, and I'll include today McDavid and Crosby, you know, if they play 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 25 minutes, you know, who's picking up the 35 minutes when they're not on the ice. So he understands the value of each player, whether or not they're playing 20 minutes a night or 4 minutes a night. As long as the energy's there, the purpose is there, the focus is there, the attitude of I'll do anything to win, I'll do anything to protect you, to watch your back. All of it comes into play with Mark every day, from the moment training camp starts to the final game of the season. And you're right, he was the reason why we won, because he was able to bring it all together at the right time. And credit all of us for trusting him and in his guidance. Yeah. Brian Leach, first U.S. born player to ever win the Conn Smythe that year, because, you know, most often than not, Mark instilled in him that it was possible at the time when everybody thought that he was a very talented guy, but a great underachiever. And it's like, no, Brian just needed a guy like Mark to show him how good he could be.
Wow. Yeah. See, I mean, no question about it. I think Messi has to be considered maybe the greatest captain in sports history, right? Among them, for sure.
I believe so. I think he's still today the only one that captained 2 Stanley Cup teams, if I'm not mistaken. And Neil Smith went out there and targeted him, you know, off the Edmonton Oilers. There's no question about that. And it's a move that to this day remains Neil's greatest move. It changed the organization forever. And you know, I totally agree with you. I just don't think that there's anybody better right now in the history of our game.
So, did you enjoy your chance to take Stanley home?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, Toronto, of course, you know, in many ways, you know, the center of the hockey universe, I'll say it. You know, everything drives out of here, whether it's Hockey Night in Canada, the media, the TV, whatever you can say. It's a great feeling bringing the Stanley Cup back to Toronto. Myself, Mike Hudson, and Glenn Healy were the first hockey players to ever take it to hospital for sick kids. So that was a special day too. Down at the Danforth, they threw me a couple of parties there. And, you know, the best thing about the Stanley Cup, Joe, of course, is, you know, it doesn't ask you how many games you played or how many goals you scored or penalty minutes. It just has your last name. It doesn't even have your first name. It has your initial. So, you know, my name on that Stanley Cup isn't just my name. It's my mom and dad's. It's my sisters. It's uncles and aunts, first cousins, large Kypreos family that could take a lot of pride in that name being on the Stanley Cup.
Well, in addition to being a proud Greek, you're a proud Torontonian too, and getting a chance to play for the hometown Leafs. Was that a highlight for you?
Oh, without a doubt. Growing up right in front of that television, like a lot of other Canadians, either Wednesday night was the midweek game for the Leafs, or of course Hockey Night in Canada on Saturdays. And my heroes were Sittler, McDonald, Borja Salming, Paul Matier. Those years were phenomenal. My earliest memories, I do remember watching Bobby Orr play for the Boston Bruins against the Leafs in the playoffs. And then it kind of really got emotional for me when we saw the Broad Street Bullies in the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken, play against the Leafs. They had Schultz, and they were led by Bob Clark and Bill Barber and Reggie Leach. And, they came close a couple of times, I think Game 7, but couldn't get past them. My heart was broken until the following season, but that's the way I grew up watching hockey here in Toronto, and to bring the Stanley Cup here as a New York Ranger. I wish it could have been with the Leafs as well. We all dream about it. As a Torontonian playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which still to this day, at the time I got traded, Joe, I may have been only the 88th player in franchise history to be born in Toronto and play for the Leafs, so it didn't happen that often. We all envision winning a championship here. We got a taste of what it could be like through the Raptors when they won their championship, but I do believe, as great as the Raptor party was, a Leaf party could take it up a notch.
Yeah. No question. I mean, 3 or whatever million people downtown for the Raptors, and you could for sure double that, triple that. The Leafs ever get that done. Hopefully,
the parade will probably be from like June to like January, just like 6 months of a parade. It'll be forever.
Forever
Producer
parade.
Vic. Yeah. So 95, 96 playoffs with the Leafs, and of course you run in with Grant Fuhr. You were looking to get to the loose puck, and you collided with Fuhr, got hit from behind by Chris Pronger on the play. Was there any ill will on your part? Yeah.
Listen, we play the game hard. I've had and Grant Fuhr is just like the nicest guy you'll ever meet, a pure gentleman. And, at the time, I'm sure he was really disappointed, if not really pissed off at me. But Grant's been around long enough to understand the game, how hard you play, the battles in front of the net for every inch. Grant's not the first goalie I bumped or bothered or try to throw off his game, but he is the only one I've ever hurt. I felt awful for it. Yeah, to sit there and say I try to hurt him or I wanted him out of the series is just the most ridiculous thing in the world. I wanted to bother him. I wanted to throw him off his game. I wanted to do what I was supposed to do and create traffic and maybe draw a penalty, which I did off of Chris Pronger. Those were all my intentions, but to hurt him absolutely was the last thing on my mind. And to this day, Grant treats me with the utmost respect for playing the game hard. Those first early years were tough on me, to be honest with you. I mean, it started with having to go back to St. Louis, dealing with death threats, dealing with, we're going to get you, we're going to hurt you, having security escort me to hotels and to the arena in St. Louis. I mean, it's a little unnerving. So, for Grant Fuhr a few years later to come up to me and say, don't worry about a thing, I don't hold you personally responsible, meant the world to me, Joe. And, again, and Mark Messier, at the time I told him I felt bad and I had not talked to Grant Fuhr, and he said, okay, well, listen, I know Fuhrzy, and the Fuhrzy I know will be happy to talk to you. And Mark set it up where we were just, talking about it. And, Grant made me feel like 1,000 pounds were off shoulders, when we spoke. So I can't speak highly enough about Grant Fuhr.
Yeah, well, we had Grant on the show, and I asked him about that, and he definitely did not hold a grudge. Let's roll that clip. Do you think there was any malice in that? I know Keenan, I believe he's still upset about that.
You know what happens is in the playoffs, people fall on you. It happens all the time. And it just happened to be the one time that I had my leg stuck in a bad spot underneath me, and we ripped up a knee pretty good.
Well, I think it was a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So that's about as bad as you can get your knee torn up. But how hard it was to leave that, leave that scenario? And do you think that maybe you guys have missed out on an opportunity at that 6th Stanley Cup there?
So I think so. I mean, I think we had all the pieces where we could have won another cup. We had good defense. We had great centers, good wingers, good support players. So, yeah, do I think that's a team that could have won a cup? I do.
Well, it's tough, Because you feel bad for Fuhr, but you mentioned like everything that happened there was just it's part of the game of hockey, and it's just the way the game goes sometimes, right?
He kind of caught me, Joe, a little bit on this because I'm listening to him, and I feel horrible. I absolutely feel horrible. For Grant, they were the better team against us, and with Grant, we can recall John Casey going in there, and then ultimately Stevie Yzerman putting a shot over his shoulder, but could easily have seen that team that we lost to in the first round getting past Detroit and winning a Stanley Cup. So, again, you just reminded me of what a class Grant Fuhr is.
He's an incredible goaltender and one of the best in history. And but I want to go back to just say that was just unfortunate. It's a hockey play that went. When the way it goes sometimes, it's the same kind of thing that happened with Stolarz last year, and it happens. It happens in the game.
We can find a dozen examples in every playoff series, in the last 40 or 50 years, where the strategy is no different from year to year. The game's changed in so many ways, but that. Going to bother a goalie, going to get into his face, creating traffic, taking away his eyes. That part of the game will never change, and they're aware of it. A lot of teams now targeting goalies that are 6'4", 6'5", that can maybe handle more traffic or see above, all the traffic. But as far as getting in there and staying on top of the crease and the bumps and the subtle, nudges. That'll never change.
Right. It's your job as a power forward to do what you did. And the circumstances around it are just unfortunate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well said.
Yeah. So your career came to an end as a result of a fight. You talk about the incident in the book, and it sounds like it was kind of really cathartic for you to bring it out.
Yeah, listen, we all envision going out with a parade, like the great ones, but it doesn't happen. Unfortunately, mine ended abruptly at Madison Square Gardens, face down. In many ways, I've talked to Ryan Vandenbush, who knocked me out, and I tried to show the same grace as Grant Fuhr showed me. To him, that he had a job to do, and he did it, and I don't begrudge him for that at all. But one door closes, others open up. I was able to get into broadcasting quite quickly. I look back, would I have liked to play it a few more years? Yes, no question about that. But am I grateful for what I had? And, didn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. That's true as well. So I look back, Joe, I had no regrets, including, giving it my all in an exhibition fight where, at the time I was still scrambling to save my job or my place on the team. But clearly I did some soul searching during my time off with a concussion and came to the conclusion that if I was going to play, I needed to play a certain way, and I could no longer do that. There's also the factor of how much I was willing to jeopardize my health, my brain, my mind, my motor skills. Another punch to the head could seriously alter that, if not cause death. Let's throw that out there as well. And I came to the conclusion that I would retire.
Well, I mean, we know that a lot of, enforcers, if you will, have come to their lives have come to an abrupt halt and so then some nastier circumstances in many cases. So, I have a belief that things happen for a reason. And here you are today, you got a phenomenal broadcasting career, which, came as a result of your talent in other areas. So I want to take us back a little bit. You had a show with Bill Waters and Darren Millard, which got heated from time to time. Let's have a listen to that.
Eddie and Tannenbaum's way of handling John Ferguson over the past 4 years has been unethical, unprofessional, unprecedented, and most recently, unconscionable. This is a disgrace to the sport of hockey, and these two guys should be taken to task.
You know what? Don't paint Larry Tannenbaum in with Richard Petty, because Larry hasn't gone on record. He hasn't thrown him under the bus or anything.
Nick, he hired him.
No.
He hired him, and then he spent 3 years trying to fire him.
Well, maybe
if
it's based on performance only, then he's got a legitimate thing. He is part owner of this team.
That doesn't matter. You don't hire a guy and spend 3 years trying to fire him. If you do, you're not worth your salt.
It's a performance-driven industry. If you're not performing, you don't have to.
Throw the towel in.
What's going on for you when you see that?
Oh, listen, you know what I get flooded with? So many laughs and so many good memories with Bill Waters and, Darren Millard. I broke in with Darren Drager, who does a terrific job on TSN now, and all these amazing people that came together at the time, Joe, and, you were part of that kind of sports world around CTV at the time, and Sportsnet came along in 1998, and everybody said we wouldn't last 5 minutes because there's no room for two national sports stations across the country, and there's not enough to go around. And here we are in 2025, and TSN thrives and Sportsnet thrives, and a lot of people enjoying what they do, talking sports and making a living from it. That's what I get out of watching that segment there with Bill Waters.
Well, you got the show now. It's a great show on the Fan 590, Real Kyper and Bourne. And we actually had your co-host on the show, and I asked him what it was like to work with you.
It's great. I was a little intimidated at first because he's got a bit of a gruff personality, and it can be intimidating at times, but he is very easy to work with. He treats me well. He's funny. I have learned that part of that gruffness, whatever, is, his on-air personality. He's not a true bear. He's a great guy. It's been a lot of fun, and our show is something I look forward to, which, I feel blessed about every day. Being on a radio show, you have to have an opinion on everything. There's 20 some guys on the Leafs roster, and it's like, what do you think of this guy? How'd he play last night? And not everyone did something awesome or awful every single night. Sometimes I don't know. He's fine. That's how I feel about Yarncroc. That's how I feel about my Volkswagen Jetta. It runs. It gets me where I'm trying to go. I got no problem with it. It's not great. It's not awesome. It's fine. That's how I feel about Kelly Yarncroc.
It's funny. I had to throw the Yarncroc clip in there because Kelly's lighting it up suddenly, right? What's going on? Yeah.
I know. Listen, I love Justin Bourne, and I love Sammy McKee, who I work with as well. I love going to work with those guys. I never met, well, I shouldn't say that. I never got to know Justin Bourne until I was told I was going to work with him. The only other time I met him, we were on live radio on the Fan 590. It was at an NHL alumni event where he was covering for the Fan 590. And I went on and talked to him for about 2 minutes. And outside of that, I knew nothing about him. But, for those of you that don't know, he's got a terrific hockey story. Not that he had an NHL career, but he grew up in a hockey family, of course, around the New York Islanders with the dynasties. His father's great, Bob Bourne. His late father-in-law, Clark Gillies. Of course, he married Clark Gillies' daughter. And, he, likewise with him, he's got a wonderful disposition when it comes to carrying himself, talking about the great game of hockey. He's younger than me, which makes me feel better about still being in the business. And we have a ton of fun. And that's the most important thing. And you want to call it chemistry, you want to call it, having fun, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad I get to go to work with those two guys.
Yeah, every day, Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 right now, 4 to 6 when the baseball season's over. Pretty awesome show, no doubt about that. So, okay, I'm going to ask you to put your analyst hat on here before we go. Let's talk about the Leafs. 25-26 better or worse than last year's version?
I think talent-wise worse, but the focus wasn't on talent. It was about grit and being harder to play against. And I think they brought in guys that hopefully can do that. To be honest with you, it's a slow start for them, and I've yet to see that new level that they can get to when it comes to being a team that is tough to play against. I think it's a work in progress. They may need 10, 15 games, maybe even through Thanksgiving to find themselves. But, there's no replacing Mitch Marner, who played 24 minutes a night and scored 100 points. That's not happening. So you're going to have to rally around that. I think Easton Cowan gives them a ton of youth, enthusiasm, and energy, and you hope that can grow throughout the season. But maybe they don't have to win the Atlantic Division here or even finish second. They just need to play. They need to play well at the right time, and hopefully that's the latter part of the season into the playoffs, much like those Seattle Mariners. And we'll see where the baseball takes us as we tape this. As we do this today. The Seattle Mariners were a team that I don't think a lot of people saw at the beginning of the baseball season, and here they are, a World Series for the first time. I think the Leafs have to be a team like Seattle that just keeps getting better and better and better as the season goes on.
So another question: McDavid coming to Toronto in 2 years, is that going to happen, or is that a distinct possibility?
Listen, where are any of us in 2 years? I mean, you can fantasize if you're a Leaf fan, but so could 20 other teams. The Rangers, I'm sure, Rangers start the NHL season, they can't score a goal. So I think they can start envisioning getting Connor McDavid, but that's going to happen. It's natural. He only signed a 2-year deal. So let the Leaf fans dream, let other teams dream, but I don't even think he knows where he's going to be in 2 years. So let's see how this season plays out, and then we'll move forward.
Which Canadian team has the best shot this year?
Winnipeg. Yeah, Winnipeg. So still one of the best goaltenders. Josh Morrissey is a top defenseman. They missed their captain, Adam Lowry, who gives them a ton of sandpaper at the center ice position. Taves comes in and gives them some presence from a leadership role. I'm not sure if he warrants 18 minutes a night after being off a couple of years. But they got the goal scoring with Connor. So I think they're in good shape.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Okay, final question, Nick. We're partnered with a group called Believe, Become, Be You. It's a mentorship program for kids 10 to 17, inspired by the late Sean Gindy, led by Papa Jack Gindy. What's the message that you would have for any kids who might be struggling to find their way in today's world?
Well, my message to all of the kids is that there's many different paths to get to your destination, and it's like a snowflake. There's no two the same, and there's only one path for you, and it's up to you to find it through hard work, dedication, focus, listening to smart people around you, trusting coaches, trusting your parents, trusting anyone that you feel has your best interests in mind. And because the path sometimes can veer off a nice pathway, a nice driveway, and it goes into a bit of a dirt road, that's okay too, because you can get back on that path pretty quickly. But be patient. Don't get down on yourself. Everything's a learning experience. And ultimately, sometimes it's hard to say this, but enjoy the journey too. Sometimes the destination to winning a Stanley Cup or making a lot of money isn't the thing that you're going to remember the most. It's going to be the lessons that you learned or the uncertainty. Don't be scared of uncertainty. Everybody wants to be guaranteed something. Everybody wants to know for sure the outcome, but we don't. And when you have uncertainty in your life, don't be scared of it. It's just part of the process.
Beautifully. Well said. Thank you, sir. All right. Check out Nick on The Real Kyper and Bourne, weekdays on the Fan 590. The book, once again, is Nick Kypreos, Undrafted, Hockey, Family, and What It Takes to Be a Pro. Beautiful. Thank you for taking this time to join us, Nick. It's been awesome. Love
Joe, terrific job as always, man. Thanks. Great catching up with you.
All right. Thanks, brother. When we come back, Kevin Lowe talks about finally getting past the Islanders and hoisting the Stanley Cup. In 1992, the best locally owned restoration companies came together with one goal: to make disaster recovery better for Canadians. And to this day, DKI remains one of the only 100% Canadian-owned disaster restoration groups in the market. Fire, flood, or storm damage. When things go wrong, the right help makes all the difference. With the right tools and local expertise, we handle everything from emergency response to full-scale restoration, getting homes and businesses back on track the right way. Because a home is more than four walls, a business is more than a building, and recovery is about more than repairs. When you choose DKI, you're choosing a company that's put Canada first since 1992. Locally owned, nationally backed, Canadian through and through. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center. Saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Hearing loss doesn't have to mean missing out. At Hear Canada, we help you take charge with a complimentary hearing assessment because confidence starts with clarity. Discover hearing aids, accessories, and expert care at your local hearing center. Not sure where to start? Our Hearing Health Guide has the basics for you or a loved one. It worked for us. Book your free assessment today at hearcanada.com. Conditions may apply.
In the early years, you guys finally reached the promised land. What was it like to finally get a chance to lift that Stanley Cup for the first time?
Well, I'm asked often, my favorite memory, and of course, it'll always be lifting the Stanley Cup for the first time. Even thinking about lifting it, the Islanders that was the third time we played them in the playoffs. We played them in 82, and then 83, then again 84, and of course they had won 4 cups in a row. They were the of most recent times the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were the ones, multi-talented, super disciplined, had everything from A to Z in terms of being a champion. And so we learned from them greatly. We probably benefited from them by the time we played them in 84 to win. Not to take anything away from ourselves, of course, but they were pretty beat up. They had a long runway of playoff games. I mean, heck, they went something like 19 series without a defeat, and that takes its toll on players. But I grew up in the Montreal area. Lachutte's about an hour out of Montreal. Grew up watching the Canadians hoist the Stanley Cup practically every spring. And those are, you look at that and you go, well, that's something that happens in, Hollywood would never happen for a person like me. And so when, on May 19th, 1984, when Dave Lumley, you mentioned Dave earlier, scored an empty net goal for us to go up 5-2 with a matter of seconds left, that was the first moment where I actually thought to myself, in probably 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to have a chance to get my hands on the Stanley Cup. And how amazing is that?
Discover the secret to timeless vitality at Renew Medical Center in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Our specialists unravel the science of aging, tailoring plans to defy its effects. Experience cutting-edge regenerative therapies such as stem cells and exosomes, addressing aging at its core.
It's a wonderful spot, and I highly recommend it for whatever you may need, whether you just want to feel better, you want to look better, have basically a quality of life, just to ramp it up a little bit as we age.
Liberate yourself from aging-related concerns, where accountability, technology, and passion for regenerative medicine converge. Begin your path to peak health and wellness with us. Schedule your appointment today at renewpv.com and elevate your quality of life.
Parents, what's the biggest fear for kids 10 to 14? A future they think they can't handle. At Believe, Become, Be You, we know confidence in the future is a habit we can build. Our course doesn't just prepare kids for the future, it seeds them with skills they will use now. For a limited time, the I Believe in Me Foundation is offering the first 1,000 kids and their parents 1 year free access. This priceless opportunity will save you over $2,000. This isn't just a course. It's a journey in developing life-enhancing skills that will grow with your child, fostering gritty minds, creative futures, and better bonds. Get signed up now at BelieveBecomeBeYou.com. That's BelieveBecomeBeYou.com.
And we want to thank all the folks who make the show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, wherever you get your podcast from. Also, check out all the latest shows on YouTube. All of our past shows are on there. Clips, shorts, like and subscribe. It is free. Our socials, at Joseph Tilly on Instagram and Threads, Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show on Facebook. Thanks once again to Nick Kypreos for being on the program. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Last but not least, we relaxed at a luxury resort and took a dip in the famous Dead Sea. This beautiful resort was a perfect way to cap off our incredible adventure in Egypt and Jordan. After days of exploring ancient ruins and bustling markets, it was wonderful to just kick back, put on a little mud, and soak up the sun by the Dead Sea. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the amazing cuisine in Egypt and Jordan. Don't forget to try the delicious local food like mouth-watering Egyptian barbecue. And the best part is that our Trip Oppo tour includes almost all of the meals, so you can indulge in the local cuisine without worrying about opening your wallet. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through Trip Oppo. Call them today. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit SleepyHollowCountryClub.com.